Hey guys, I'm Ellie. I want to share how I escaped a bad situation. My husband Luke has always been really close to his mom. At first, it was fine until I met Nora, my mother-in-law. She was awful to me, not just mean, but abusive. When Luke and I were dating, she did everything to break us up. But we stayed together and got married. Nora didn't like that at all. Even when we were happy together, she didn't stop. Things got worse when she and my father-in-law, Jay, stayed with us for a while. Nora kept trying to make me sick by putting allergens in my food. One time, she managed to give me soybean oil, and I ended up in the ICU, almost dying. That was the last straw for Luke. He used to defend his mom, but after that, he cut her off completely. It became clear to Luke how toxic Nora was when his dad, Jay, divorced her for trying to poison me. Nora claimed she didn't mean to, but no one believed her. We even got a restraining order against her, but our peace didn't last long. For 2 years, Luke and I enjoyed life without Nora around. Then I found out I was pregnant, and we were thrilled. But I worried Nora would find out and cause trouble. The restraining order had expired, and I didn't know how to keep her away. Luke used to be my support, helping me through my fears. But then he started suggesting that maybe we should forgive Nora and let her back into our lives. One day, he even sat me down and said, "Have you thought about what I said, Ellie? Maybe we should try to reconnect with Mom. It's been years. Think about our daughter." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Are you serious, Luke? Why would I want that? Your mother nearly killed me. How can you think she'll be safe around our child?" "She's my mom, Ellie. I think she's learned from her mistake. Let's give her a chance," Luke urged. "No way, Luke. I won't let Nora hurt me or our child again. I've had enough since the first incident. She's not coming back into our lives, especially not our daughters." "You already knew, Luke. My mind's made up." I was furious with Luke for even suggesting I invite his mom to my baby shower. His sudden interest in Nora only fueled my paranoia about her harming me and the baby. I couldn't believe he'd bring her up like that. Thankfully, it seemed like Luke dropped the issue and agreed to respect my decision. Turns out, I was dead wrong. Luke didn't drop it at all. He not only disregarded my decision, but made things worse behind my back. How did I find out? Well, his dad ended up calling me about it. A few days later, Jay called me and dropped a bombshell. "Ellie, sorry to spring this on you, but did you know your mother-in-law is coming to your baby shower?" "What?" "No, Jay, she's not invited. She's never welcomed back into my life." "Listen, Ellie, you need to know that Luke has invited Nora to your baby shower." I was stunned. I couldn't believe my husband had gone against my wishes like that. I was overwhelmed with confusion and anger. Feeling like I couldn't breathe properly, I said to Jay, "What are you saying, Jay? Luke invited his mom after I explicitly told him not to. He promised he wouldn't." "I know, Ellie. Luke's been in touch with his mom since the restraining order was lifted. I only found out yesterday. I tried to talk him out of it, but he's set on bringing Nora back into your lives." "Luke's talking to Nora again? How could he betray me like this? Is he out of his mind? I'll never forgive him for this." Jay reassured me, "I'll talk to him, Ellie. Nora won't harm you or the baby again. Luke's making a mistake, but I'll try to make him see reason." "I won't confront him about it, Jay. It won't change anything. I want to see if he actually goes through with inviting Nora to the baby shower. If he does, I'll divorce him." I was dead serious. The betrayal by my own husband was unbearable. I couldn't believe he'd willingly bring an abuser back into our lives. At that moment, I realized I couldn't stay with Luke if he went through with it. I'd risked my life once, but now I had my daughter to think about too. There was no way I'd subject myself or her to more abuse. Since Luke had already proven himself untrustworthy, talking to him seemed pointless. I kept what I knew from him. Jay and I kept in touch, keeping each other updated. I was preparing for divorce, consulting a lawyer, and getting papers ready. I needed to be ready in case Luke actually brought Nora to the baby shower. The days leading up to it were stressful. Knowing Luke wasn't changing his mind left me in a bad state mentally. Luke was concerned about me, but I just brushed it off, claiming I wasn't feeling well. Being around him was tough. I felt betrayed. Yet, I never confronted him. I gave him chances to do right, but he didn't. So when the divorce papers arrived the day before the baby shower, I was ready to leave him for good. I was determined to show him the consequences of his actions. When Nora showed up at the baby shower with Luke, I was prepared. though seeing her still sent chills down my spine. I stepped away immediately, asking, "Why is she here, Luke? You promised she wouldn't be." "Oh, Ellie, lighten up. This is supposed to be a happy day. Let's not dwell on the past. The day was ruined the moment you brought your mother here against my wishes. How could you betray me like this, Luke? What choice did I have? You reacted badly when I asked, so I had to invite her secretly. So even after I said no, you sneaked behind my back to invite her? My safety means nothing to you, does it, Luke? Stop overreacting, Ellie. You're being unreasonable. My mom will be a great grandma, I'm sure. You believe your abusive mom will be a great grandma? Do you even hear yourself, Luke? And why are you defending her, Jay? It's been years. You should move on and accept her back. I'm tired of this. Your wife needs to grow up, Luke. Ellie, my son is right. It's time to move on. It's disappointing that you haven't matured, even with a baby on the way. My granddaughter needs a responsible parent like me. Luke, inviting me was the right thing. It seems you two need my guidance. I was stunned by Nora's words. She was actually suggesting she play a major role in raising my daughter. It was beyond belief. No sane parent would allow an abusive person like Nora anywhere near their child. I couldn't fathom Nora's audacity in thinking we'd agree to this. But what shocked me even more was Luke's lack of concern. He seemed to be on board with Nora's plan. I couldn't hold back my disbelief. What are you saying, Luke? Nora, you can't seriously expect us to let you be a big part of our daughter's life. That's not happening, I interjected firmly. Why not? She's my granddaughter, so I have a say in how she's raised, and you'll need someone to watch her, Nora replied confidently. No way, Nora. You'll never babysit my daughter. Luke and I won't let someone like you, who's been abusive, anywhere near her. Forget about that idea, I retorted. Come on, Luke agrees with me. I'd be the best choice to babysit. Given your track record, maybe I should move in after the baby's born, right, Luke? Nora added arrogantly. Luke, you need to address this now. Do you really agree with what your mother is proposing? Are you seriously considering letting her take on a parental or caregiving role with our child? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I desperately hoped my husband wouldn't actually entertain such ideas. Jay had warned me about Luke's renewed contact with Nora, but I never imagined it had escalated to this. Even Jay didn't know the extent of their discussions. As the uncomfortable silence settled among the guests at the baby shower, I wished it was all just a nightmare. But reality hit hard when Luke casually responded, I think you're being unfair to my mom, Ellie. She's a good mother and raised me well. I'm sure she'd make a great babysitter. Are you forgetting she nearly killed me trying to prove my allergies were fake? How can you even consider her for such a role? I shot back, incredulous. Come on, Ellie, don't overreact. That was in the past. You need to let go and move on. Holding on to grudges won't do us any good. She's family, so you should forgive her, Luke replied dismissively. I won't stand by while you force her presence on us. She's staying for the baby shower, and she'll be involved in our lives from now on. My husband's words hit me like a ton of bricks. He was insistent on having his abusive mother in our lives, despite the harm she'd caused. He seemed blind to the danger she posed, adamant that she'd play an active role in our daughter's life. But that was a line I refused to cross. I couldn't fathom having Nora, this deranged woman, in my life, let alone around my child. It was time for a difficult decision. All the preparations I'd made weren't for nothing, but it was hard to come to terms with. The realization that my marriage had reached this point was heartbreaking, but there was no turning back. I needed to leave this marriage, and I needed to do it now. So without another word to Luke, I calmly retreated to the study, ready to take the necessary steps to leave him. I headed to the study to retrieve the divorce papers I had prepared earlier. My hands trembled, and tears threatened to spill, but I held them back. There was no use wasting tears on a man who disregarded my feelings. So I composed myself and returned to the room where everyone was gathered for food and drinks. It felt awkward. Only Nora and Luke seemed at ease, sharing laughter and discussing our daughter's future plans. As I excused myself to the study, expecting Luke to follow, he remained behind with his mother. He likely assumed I was having another outburst and would eventually accept Nora. But he was mistaken. Returning downstairs with the papers in hand, I caught Jay's eye, who sat silently on the side. He seemed to understand what I was about to do and appeared saddened by it. approaching my husband, who looked puzzled by the papers, and a smirking Nora. I spoke. You've made it clear that Nora is your priority. You've shown that my child and I would have to compromise our safety to accept Nora back into our lives. Today, you've made it evident that you've chosen Nora over us, Luke. No, Ellie, that's not what I meant. Please don't misinterpret my intentions. I'm trying to find a way for us all to get along. Mom is my family too, Ellie. You need to understand why I value her presence, Luke pleaded. You're determined to reintroduce this abusive woman into our lives. Well then, you've made your choice. You've chosen her over us, I replied firmly. What do you mean, Ellie? Here are the divorce papers, Luke. Sign them and return them to me. If you have any questions, speak to my lawyer. It's over. Luke and Nora were visibly shocked when I explained the significance of the papers. I handed them to Luke, arms crossed, as he hurriedly examined them. Yes, I had consulted a lawyer and prepared the papers in advance, ready to leave if Luke thought he could force his mother into our lives without consequence. His hands shook as he confirmed their contents, his expression a mix of disbelief and confusion. This can't be real, Ellie. Why would you do this? He stammered. I prepared the divorce papers because I knew what you were doing. I found out about Nora being invited to the baby shower from your dad. Dad, you told Ellie I invited Mom to the baby shower? Luke questioned. Yes, I did, Luke. Your mom boasted about her imminent return to your life, claiming the divorce was my loss since she hadn't lost her son after all. I had to tell Ellie because you disregarded her and even ignored my advice. I warned you, Luke. You should be ashamed, Jay rebuked. Luke began to grasp the gravity of his actions, though it hadn't fully sunk in yet. I could see the gears turning in his head as he glanced between me and the papers in his hands, visibly nervous. I wasn't the only one who noticed. Before Luke could respond, his mom grabbed his arm, interjecting, No, Luke, you did the right thing by bringing me back into your life. Don't listen to your father. Jake and Ellie want to keep us apart because they're jealous of our relationship. Oh, there's nothing left to be envious of, Nora. Jay isn't your husband anymore, and I won't be your son's wife either. Congratulations, Nora, you've achieved what you wanted. Your son is all yours now, I stated bitterly. No, Ellie, please, let's discuss this. You can't leave me like this. You can't spring divorce papers on me like this, Luke pleaded desperately. Oh really, Luke? I can't surprise you with divorce papers, but you can surprise me by reconnecting with your mother behind my back. You comforted me while I worried about your mom, but all this time you were on her side. Luke started to panic. He hurriedly moved away from his mother and tried to reach for my hand, but I avoided his touch. It was unlike me to reject physical contact, but I couldn't bear to look at him, let alone let him touch me. I kept my distance, which only heightened his anxiety. You've misunderstood, Ellie. I just wanted us all to be a family again. I didn't mean to go behind your back, he pleaded. But you did, Luke. You had a chance today when I asked you to make Nora leave, but instead you called me stubborn and immature. You insisted I forgive her because she's family. Well, you don't have to worry about that anymore, Luke, because I'm leaving you. Nora and Jay will be your only family now, I declared firmly. I can't believe this, Ellie. After what my son did today, I'm deeply ashamed of him. This isn't how I raised him. His loyalty to his mother has clouded his judgment. I can't accept a son who can't discern right from wrong. Jay expressed, his disappointment evident. Dad, please don't say that. I still need you and Ellie in my life, Luke pleaded, his voice trembling with emotion. Oh God, this isn't what I wanted, Jay lamented. You wanted your mom back, Luke, and now you have her. You should be content. Don't worry, I won't keep your daughter from you. You'll have visitation rights as determined by the court, but I won't be your concern anymore. You can enjoy your life with your mom while I provide a safe environment for our daughter, I declared firmly. Luke broke down in tears as he realized the extent of my resolve. Nora stood in a corner, visibly nervous, her grand schemes crumbling before her eyes. She likely expected Luke to coerce me into accepting her back into our lives. But now, it was clear that her son valued me more than her, a fact that unsettled her deeply. Luke, growing increasingly desperate, implored, Please, Ellie, let's calm down and talk this through. I know I made a mistake, but you need to understand why I did it. Please just give me a chance to explain. I've heard enough, Luke. You've made it clear how little you value my feelings and opinions and how little you care about me and our daughter. You should be grateful I'm allowing you to return to your beloved mother." "No, Ellie, you mean more to me than my mom. Please don't leave me," Luke pleaded desperately. "That's rich, Luke. If I meant more to you than your mother, you would have listened to me. There's no point trying to change my mind now. We're finished. You and your mother can leave since this party was organized by my family, who certainly didn't invite Nora. Take your mother and go, Luke." Luke broke down when I asked him to leave. He cried and begged me to reconsider. But when I remained resolute, he turned to Jay, pleading for his intervention. Meanwhile, Nora attempted to justify their actions, saying, "Come on, Luke, don't act so desperate. You don't need an immature wife like Ellie." "Enough, Mom. Just stop talking. This is all your fault. I never should have listened to you. I let you poison my mind, and now I'm about to lose my wife," Luke retorted. "Now, Luke, don't blame your mom for everything. You made the decision to invite her and defend her. There's no point trying to backtrack now. My decision stands," I reiterated firmly. "No, Ellie, please, don't do this to us." "Dad, please convince her to give me another chance," Luke pleaded. "You're on your own, son. You've made a big mistake, and you don't have any grounds to ask for forgiveness," Jay replied, his tone firm. Luke eventually realized the magnitude of his mistake. He hadn't anticipated my immediate departure once he brought his mom into our home. It was likely Nora who assured him that everything would be fine. However, it was ultimately my husband's misguided decision to prioritize his mother over our marriage. Unfortunately for both of them, their plan didn't pan out. I had mentally prepared myself for the worst, allowing me to maintain composure despite feeling sadness and disappointment. I remained strong for the sake of my child. After repeatedly urging Luke and Nora to leave, they finally departed. Alone with my thoughts, I experienced a minor breakdown. Fortunately, the presence of supportive friends and family helped me navigate through this challenging time. Although my emotions were mixed, the success of my baby shower provided some solace. Friends and loved ones rallied around me, offering their assistance in various ways. Later that evening, Luke returned, attempting to reconcile with me. However, I made it unequivocally clear that there was no path to reconciliation. Eventually, I proceeded with the divorce. I couldn't fathom remaining with someone who prioritized his abusive mother over the safety and well-being of our daughter and me. The divorce process concluded after our child was born, and despite initial resistance from Luke, it was finalized smoothly. Now, with my daughter at 9 months old, I have embraced my newfound freedom. Although Luke initially struggled with the divorce, his attempts to win me back proved futile. He severed ties with his mother, squarely placing blame for the dissolution of our marriage upon her shoulders. Nora, devastated by the fallout, never anticipated such a turn of events. I'm relieved to report that she has had no contact with my daughter, thanks to Luke's efforts to keep her away in hopes of reconciliation. Occasionally, I receive updates from Jay about Luke's struggles, and while I empathize with his situation, I'm grateful to have escaped a marriage where my boundaries were repeatedly tested and disregarded. In the end, Luke's actions backfired, resulting in the unraveling of his life.